Aaron Judge is a better version of Brock Lesnar.
What is something you love as much as the Charmin Bears love wiping?
As an opposing fan, you'd probably see his face and want to sock him between your cracks. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Losses Above Replacement, the greatest baseball podcast. Two great series. I'm today's host, Mathias Kursaki, and with me, as always, we have Ryan Splash Potts and Alex Clark, my amazing co-hosts, my main men. As we begin every show, how are you doing on this fine Wednesday evening?
We really got through the intro there, but
yeah. I stumbled through my words there.
Good,
wow,
you're good, man. Honestly, we're doing all right over here. We've been getting some good sun over here on the Pacific Northwest. Here, it's the weather's starting to get a little bit hotter, but we're not at that stage yet where it is too unbearably hot to exist yet, because our heat is also accompanied by about 95% humidity. So that means not only hot, but it hurts. So fair enough. It's a good time, I'll say, over here. But at least the Mariners won today against the White Sox.
Yeah, I'm going to have to veto the whole heat idea. It is getting into the 90s here in Northern Virginia, and it's just horrible, man. Coming home from work, it's like 77. And remember, I work nights. So I'm coming home at 7 in the morning, and it's already, touching the 80s. It's like, okay, Jamie Moyer, I see you. It's too early for this. Shout out to the old Mariners commercials with Moyer throwing in kilometers per hour.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, it's also been blistering here, although a pretty heavy rainstorm just rolled through, and the temperature is going to drop about 20 to 30 degrees. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the high 50s or so when I wake up. But the last 2 days I've woken up and it's already been in the 80s. So yeah, that's fun. I mean, look, I'm a warm weather guy, but sometimes, especially in the Northeast, we go from oh my God, when is spring ever going to start to, oh my God, it's already summer, even though it's not even Memorial Day weekend. So yeah, that's been an experience.
I must add, Monday is Memorial Day. The Braves do not play on Memorial Day.
That's a crime.
Major League Baseball, why do you have stupid?
Do you or has stupid?
Yeah, it's almost also like, I look at the schedule and I ask why the Mets and Braves are playing each other at 8 p.m. on the 4th of July. Guys, can we not make this like a 12 o'clock game or something? Or also, better question, why are they playing at 8 p.m. on the 4th and then 12 p.m. on the 5th? Guys,
that right there.
Let's get this. Let's
get
our stuff together.
Camp, 2.0.
Rick Camp game 2.0 would go crazy, actually, considering the quick turnaround.
Yeah. Mac, I do want to bring up the Metropolitans scored 10 runs in an extra inning.
They did. Yeah, that was a bizarre game. That's the first time I've ever seen a manager just punt in extra innings. That was interesting to say the least, especially because the Mets had Craig Kimbrell warming up, and I'm a big Craig Kimbrell fan, but he is not the same player anymore. So a 5-run deficit actually isn't that much when you think about it. Also, hi, what's up, Ralph? Good to see you. Always a pleasure having some regulars in the chat. Of course, drop your questions or comments or whatever the heck in your chat. But yeah, other than that, it's been an interesting week. Subway Series was a lot of fun. So yeah, things are going on in New York. Now let's dive into this past week in baseball. Yeah, Alex.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask. So I wanted to get this is just a random question to both of you. How do you guys feel about Rivalry Weekend? Because I feel like I feel like it's something that was just kind of forced in there to be like, oh, hey, yeah, everyone's facing their rivals. It's great. The problem is they're really not. The Mariners aren't rivals with the Padres. That's our sister team.
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think Rivalry Weekend is not a bad concept.
Yeah.
It's just they did not really match up the rivals. All right. The Pirates and Phillies are not rivals. The Twins and Brewers are definitely not rivals.
I will say the Phillies and Pirates are rivals for one reason and one reason only. The poop game scoreboard.
Well, yeah, exactly. But, you look at some of these matchups, it's like, why are the Red Sox facing the Braves? Like,
yeah, why?
Why is it not Red Sox Yankees? I like Subway Series is cool. Okay, I appreciate the Subway Series every year. We finally get the two teams in New York City facing each other 6 times a year. But the Mets should be facing either the Phillies or the Braves. And the Phillies should be facing one of the Braves or the Mets. Like, I guess sometimes it's tough. Like the Tigers and Blue Jays are not in the same division. All right. I know they're both, up north, sort of. But like the Tigers should probably be facing the Guardians. And the Twins, then this is the tough part is also geographically, like some of it doesn't really make sense. That's why I will cross this bridge when we get there, but we're probably going to need expansion at some point because some teams like your Mariners don't necessarily have a natural rival.
I mean, to be fair, I was actually about to bring that up here. Like, they don't have a natural rival. I have 2 suggestions for a rival. First of which is Houston, because obviously, but I think Houston also has its own rivalries, right? I think the best rivalry for Seattle is Toronto. That is the one that legitimately I get. The next team down from like Houston on the level of hate is Toronto because of how much they come out and buy out our stadium. But you know what? Hey, if that's your argument, get to the ticket stands first. But
yeah,
I mean, also now you have 2 straight playoff appearances for the Mariners that went through Toronto here with 2022 winning in the wild card round. And then 2025, the Blue Jays taking it in the championship series.
Yeah, and also like you're close enough to Canada where it's like there are a lot of Blue Jays fans in Western Canada, close enough to the border where they can come over to Seattle, and then there I'm sure decent amount of Mariners fans in Vancouver too. So, I mean, yeah,
exactly,
fellas. I would like to show you the door because both of you are wrong. I am right here. This is great for baseball. I love them playing this up. I know as a Braves fan, Boston is not my first choice for a rival, but I saw far too many people ask the question, why are the Braves and Red Sox playing this weekend? Can we use 3% of our brains and understand the Braves used to play in Boston? And in fact, they shared Fenway Park with the Red Sox for a little bit. I'm not saying this is like the best rivalry in baseball or better than Mets Braves or better than, Yankees Red Sox. I'm not saying that, but I like that Major League Baseball is trying something different. I like how they have a statement game, a statement weekend. Like the NFL is not on, the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs have do something different. And I've talked about this before that Major League Baseball needs to do a better job working around their holidays. I mentioned it earlier with Memorial Day, 4th of July, Jackie Robinson Day, Lou Gehrig Day, Juneteenth. There's just days on the calendar that Major League Baseball has to own. If I'm them, I would put this rivalry weekend, have it on Memorial Day weekend. I don't know. Have it on a key weekend like that. Or if you really want to have the serious rivalries, like there's some, I think some legitimate rivalries this week, like Dodgers Padres, they're playing right now. Major League Baseball needs to do a better job of kind of hyping this up and hyping up the days it's around because the summer can be a slog. You have the dog days, but I think Major League Baseball is on the right track here. And no, not all the rivalries are perfect. Some of them are just random divisional matchups. Like Colorado, Arizona is a weird one. Neither of those teams have particularly obvious teams you would have as rivals. It's like, okay, great.
They both point to the Dodgers together. Probably.
Because like the Dodgers get the Angels in the Freeway Series, makes sense. Giants, A's, that makes sense. You also have the 1989 World Series, which I like. I like baseball playing up the historical aspect of these things. Yeah. Toronto and Detroit. Yeah, they're not in the same division now.
They used to be
in the AL East together.
Yeah.
Before realignment. I like the crosstown Classic. I like the Ohio Cup.
That's a great one. Crosstown Classic is awesome.
Is it the Citrus Cup in Florida? Rays Marlins.
Citrus. Yep.
You have the Beltway Bowl. I would call it the Beltway Bowl. I don't think they actually call it that. Nats Orioles.
It's the Beltway series though.
Things. And yeah, some teams get screwed, and you have Red Sox, Braves. But again, these teams shared a city together for 60 years, 50 years. The Braves moved to Milwaukee in 1953, so I think 52 years of Boston Red Sox plus whatever the heck the Boston Braves, Bees, Bean Eaters, whatever the heck they were called. They changed their name a bunch of times. So
yeah,
I'm all in on this. I think Major League Baseball, in fact, needs to do a better job of hyping these up. And I can't speak to the Vetter Cup because I'm not a fan of that. But I like the idea of having like these cups and things that matter. And like, listen, I like college bowl games. I think they should matter more. I loved when they mattered as a kid. I like it. Alex, I mean, your team got swept, so I kind of
We did. Oh yeah, no, we got crushed by the Padres. That was a brutal series. I want to be very clear. I'm not against the idea. I love the idea in concept. It is fantastic. I do think, though, that you need to have some rivalries that are a staple each time. Like, because there are some rivalries that legitimately help sell the concept of Major League Baseball itself. Like Boston versus Yankees, for example. Like that. I feel like there are some that need to happen, and then you can have a bit of turnaround with the others as long as there's a reason for it. But I also agree with you 100% that they need to hype this up more. Like, if there is, I'm willing to bet that a lot of baseball fans did not know that the Braves used to play in Boston. Here, like the people like us do, because we're different like that. We know this game. We've learned this game.
Sometimes,
yeah, depending. Yeah, look at some of our opinions. But regardless, that's more of a knock at me than anything else. But I think what you got to do with it is you need to have some staples there, or even better with it, maybe run it a couple times a year. Here, so it's something that you look forward to and build up to. Have one early in the year, like say again May, and then have one maybe in August. So it's at least not in September when it's playoff crunch time here, but you still have something to work through for the rest of the slog of summer.
Yeah, I agree. And I think MLB does. I think actually 4th of July would be great for this. Look, last year actually I've seen it twice now where the Subway Series has been on July 4th. That's a great, you spend your Friday afternoon and Subway Series. That's awesome. I think it's a good concept. I think they probably didn't market it enough because I feel like a lot of people, I'm sure casual fans didn't even know rivalry weekend was a thing, which is a problem. But you look at in college, everyone knows when rivalry weekend is in football. Everyone knows clean old fashioned hate, Ole Miss, Mississippi State and all that, Oklahoma State, like, every Florida State, like everyone knows when those are. And to be fair, a lot of those teams are not in the same conference.
Bring back the Apple Cup at the end of the season, you cowards.
I agree with that. But like Georgia Tech, like those teams are not in the same conference. Neither are Florida or FSU. Like for a while, Texas and A&M weren't. I guess now with realignment, those make they're now in the same conference. So are Oklahoma State. Like it's just I think MLB should probably I like the concept, but I think they do need to market it a little better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I like Alex's idea of having like both ends because these are home and home series. Like the Braves are heading to Boston next week, next week. So I like it as a you get a maybe May and August, or maybe it's a Memorial Day and Labor Day. I don't know if that's too much. Just a thought, or I don't think it really applies with my holiday idea. Like maybe Lou Gehrig Day, and I don't know anything in August, unfortunately. But I like MLB trying new things. It kind of plays up the matchup. And yes, there's always going to be rivalries that are more important, quote unquote, than others. You mentioned the college football rivalries. Yeah, for every Michigan, Ohio State, there's, Arizona State, which matters to me as an Arizona grad, but might not like move the needle when it comes to just random college football fans. But you'll be moved for Ohio State, Michigan, or
Yeah.
the Iron Bowl, right?
The
But you
Iron
might not
Bowl's great,
necessarily
yeah.
be moved for, I think it's Appalachian State and Georgia State or Georgia Southern.
Is
Like
it
that's
App-
like the
App
longest
State?
continued
Oh, yeah.
rivalry in like college football,
Yeah.
or at least at the previously FCS level. But like that, okay, that might not move the needle for a casual fan, but that is a rivalry and that matters for those fan bases. And I think that can be applied to Major League Baseball in that, like the Subway Series, I think matters. I think that's a big series. They played in the World Series as well. Chicago, I think that matters. The Angels are irrelevant, but the LA, the Freeway Series, I think that's important. Or the Battle of the Bay, as long as the A's are still in Sacramento, it works.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
that's
it's going to
cool.
get real awkward when the A's move to Vegas. And it's already kind of weird right now. As someone pointed it out, the A's are hosting the Battle of the Bay in Sacramento in the stadium that the Giants held Fan Fest. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I really, really hope this gets sorted out. I don't know what are they even going to call that when the A's are in Vegas? Like, I'm assuming that's still going to be like an annual series. A what?
The Remembrance Bowl. I don't know.
I guess, yeah. That's going to be so weird.
So, one thing I would like to kind of like ask you guys on this here, because my opinion on like the rivalry weekend itself is I like it, but I just think the idea needs to get fleshed out, because how I see it, MLB does not like to stick to ideas for very long. They try it once or maybe even twice. If it doesn't get them the huge rating that they want, they throw it away. Here, and there's a number of examples of this. The Speedway Classic, the Field of Dreams game. Here, Little League Weekend.
They brought it back last year.
Yeah,
they did,
the Braves,
but they brought back the worst part of it.
This year.
Yeah, I missed the nicknames. Like,
yes,
come on.
Please, the nicknames, bring those back. Those are so much fun.
Or even the Rickwood game. I thought that was a lot of
the
Rickwood game was cool too. Yeah.
Yes.
And that goes back to my point. I need to find this and like clip it, but like baseball needs to play up that it's like America's pastime and it's something you do for the holidays. Like July 4th, every team should be playing July 4th. I think the Phillies, Nats, Mets, Yankees should all host games on July 4th. That should be non-negotiable. Cincinnati should host opening day. That should be non-negotiable. The Yankees should host on Lou Gehrig Day. That should be non-negotiable. The like having Mets Dodgers on Jackie Robinson Day, chef's kiss.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Clemente Day, the Pirates need to host. Baseball just you got to take the birdies. You can't trip over yourself and hit one into the water and get a triple on. Why are the Braves not playing on Memorial Day? That's just a triple bogey. You just walked into a rake for no reason. You had this open grass, green grass everywhere, and you fell down, Daniel Jones. What are we doing?
Oh, God.
Man.
That is a...
That moment will live forever, unfortunately. What do you think is a worse moment? That or the butt fumble?
The butt fumble still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Genuine question. This is from Effectively Wild. Which scenario is more embarrassing? You come in as a pinch hitter and pop out on the first pitch. You come in as a pinch runner and get picked off. Or you come in as a defensive replacement and you make an error on your first play.
The pickoff.
It's got to be the pickoff. Yeah.
Absolutely the pickoff.
Because if the pinch hitting thing is not good, and the defensive replacement thing, you'll probably get more opportunities to make up for it. If you enter the game as a pinch runner and get immediately picked off, like you probably aren't coming back from that. Like you're probably out of the game. And I remember in the ALDS in 2012 when Lou Ford hadn't appeared in the majors in like probably half a decade, I'm pretty sure. And he came into pinch run for Jim Tomei and immediately got picked off. It's like, dude, what's the point right now?
So here's like my thought with all three of them, right? If I'm the pinch hitter and I'm popping out on the first pitch, yeah, I failed at my job, but that's one out and we keep on moving along. With the error, there are ways to get back from that here, right? If you're a pinch runner, chances are this is like the 7th, 8th inning or later, right? And at that moment, you have, let's say, just for example, a single after one out here, right? And you get some momentum going. Your job is to get over to second base. Oh, you got picked off. Okay, instead of one out and a runner on, now there's 2 outs in the inning and momentum is essentially dead here. I feel at that point, a pickoff is one of the biggest ways how you can kill any amount of offensive momentum.
Now you see my pain as a Braves fan this year. Whoopee.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's, those all are not great, obviously, but like, if you're in there to be a pinch runner, it's like you're there to keep the rally going, and that's just unacceptable, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna try a new segment this week. We're gonna call it "Build Around" or "Not to Build Around." We are each bringing 3 players, young players, that we are going to decide if we would build our franchise around them. So we have a nice mix of position players and pitchers for us. So who here wants to go first? Their first name here.
I'll get things. Okay, yeah, Splash, go for it.
Splash, go ahead.
All right. I pitched 3 names for you, and I realized they're probably a little lower quality. So I'm going to pivot my question for you. Would you mind if James Wood was the best player on your baseball team? Would you be okay with that?
I would mind. I feel like James Wood is a great talent, but I've had some issues here with seeing the offensive ups and downs from him. Like, I want to know that he can at least be productive at the level here. Plus, so one of the other things that when we were figuring out this idea was think of it like it's a fantasy draft here. When you're playing a game and you get to do a fantasy draft here, is this player, do you feel comfortable with them being your first round pick in a fantasy draft? James Wood, I don't know if I have that here for him yet. Don't get me wrong, at only 23 years old and was already accumulated 6.4 WAR, that's solid. James Wood is, in fact, a very, very good talent. I don't know if I build around him, though. The other thing I have with here is, and I'm going to bring this up a lot during this conversation here, is position efficacy, as I want to call it here for this. How important is that position to the value that you get into it? It's one of the reasons why WAR doesn't always help out outfielders as much, unless your name is Aaron Judge. In that case, that somehow makes you even better. But no, that's actually a compliment on Aaron Judge. That legitimately he's able to still produce at that high level, even with Ward not being his friend all the time. So what I will say on this here is that I feel like outfielders are a little bit more suspect when it comes to building a franchise around, unless it is a full generational talent like Aaron Judge is.
I mean, I think James Wood is a very good player. That's the thing, is that if he's the best player on your roster, I mean, I think that's not a bad thing at all. I mean, personally, I think I'd be okay with it. I mean, you look at a guy who, he's a little bit of a 3 true outcomes type of guy. I think he's a bit more athletic than those type of players, but yeah, I mean, he hits the tar out of the baseball. He's leading the majors in walks this year. He has near a 400 on base percentage. You know, he hits for power, and he's only 23 years old. So I think, honestly, I'd be fine with it.
All right, fair enough. I think he's a great piece to have. I think I'd rather have him as a 2 than a 1. You could make an argument he's a top 30 player, and I think there's certainly an argument that he would be a top 30 asset if you did like a Bill Simmons trade value sort of deal. But I'd rather him be the second banana, and you offer a different situation when you have the Nationals and you have both Wood and Abrams, and they both have their shortcomings. Wood strikes out a ton. He's not very good defensively. Abrams plays a high up the spectrum defensive position at shortstop, but he stinks at shortstop. So he was going to be my original pick, but I don't know if he's a good player. I don't know if he's on the caliber. I think Wood's a better player. The only thing that makes him semi-close, maybe war-wise, is that Abrams plays shortstop. Now, he doesn't play it particularly well, but having a shortstop does help because you can move him down the defensive spectrum, and moving Wood down the defensive spectrum means he's a DH. So there's that.
All right. Alex, did you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'll go next here. And for mine, I'm sticking with Seattle. You already know who I'm going to say on this one here. And that is one man, Cal Raleigh. Like, I think this is a no-brainer, one that you build a franchise around, and I'll explain why. First of which, here, the age is an issue. I'm going to say that right now. 29 is a little bit old. However, the fact that he has already had 6 years in the bigs here, I want some experience as someone I'm going to build around here. Someone that's going to help lead the team. Next thing I want, leadership. We have seen that we've seen that Cal can be that kind of leader, right? So, all right, that is a huge boost for me. And then the last thing, actually, very much so XYZ pollen. But the big thing here with me, it goes to the position efficacy. It's kind of like when you think about in fantasy NFL drafting, right? The bridge between the best running back and the worst running back is a lot bigger than the bridge between the best quarterback and worst quarterback here. If you can lock down a catcher here that you are going to have for the long haul, you do it. The catcher is the one person on the team that is involved in about 95% of every play that is made on that diamond here in some way, shape, or form, from calling the pitch to making other defensive efforts. Cal Raleigh has proven that he can be the absolute best at doing every one of the things that I just mentioned. Here, he's a fantastic leader. I think he's going to go, if he continues on the trajectory, not this year because he's hurt, but continues on the trajectory that we're seeing, one, he might be a Hall of Famer, and two, I think he would make an incredible manager. I've seen what he does with working with players. The guy is a stud. Absolutely in that. And if it sounds like I'm glazing Cal Raleigh a little bit here, maybe I am. But I also I love players that can lead others. And if you are going to have a guy that is your number one pick, having one that has true leadership at a position of need here and has experience and has the hardware to prove it, that's an easy first pick for me.
I mean, I agree. I think I would build my franchise around him. I think this year is a complete aberration. Last year he had probably the best season he'll ever have. All right. But, we expected a little bit of regression. We didn't expect him to struggle the way he did. Plus play through an injury where he probably should have been on the IL, 2 to 3 weeks earlier. This year, there have been a lot of awkward things this year, but I think, Cal is a great catcher. I think we shouldn't discount what he's done 3 seasons prior to this year, or 4 seasons prior, because 2022, he was pretty good too. So, yeah, I think people are almost just ready to write him off because of how poorly he started this year. But, before he got injured, he was starting to show signs of life again. He hit 5 home runs in a week. Before the injury. So I think it's fair. I don't know if I necessarily, want him to be the best player on my roster, but I think he'd be a solid building block.
I think it's useful to look at the Mariners in this case, and I don't think Cal is the best player on the Mariners, or at least for the sake of this exercise, the best player on the Mariners. I would take, if you're drafting from scratch, I think you take Julio, and there's an argument maybe you even take Cole Emerson. Maybe that's a little early. He's a top 10 prospect, but I don't know where you value the prospects. Do I have some concerns about the long-term viability of Cal at the plate a little bit? Yeah, the strikeout rate, it was 31% this year. I know it's 181 plate appearances, but he's always run a pretty high strikeout rate. And I do think the switch hitter thing is a benefit for the most part, but you do consider that he's always tinkering with 2 different swings. And I know he's tried to make them more similar. And last year he hit 60 home runs. So there's no qualms with last year, but I do wonder, there's so much going on that he's being a catcher is great. Being a switch hitter is great, but there's a lot of things that if one little thing is out of whack, then he's chasing production from one side of the plate, or, maybe his buddy Logan Gilbert's not having quite as good of a season, so he's thinking about that. He's bringing that to the plate, and now he's 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts as opposed to 2 for 4 with a tank. So I think he's on the cusp of this. If you're considering it like a top 30 player, I think Cal is a top 30 player today. I don't know if he would be a top 30 player for the sake of the exercise. Being a catcher is great. Being a strong defensive catcher is great, but I wonder if the plate approach can get had, because he was pulling a ton of fly balls last year, and pitchers are pitching him a little bit differently this season. His hard hit rate has plummeted. His fly ball rate has gone through the roof. It's 47%, and last year was only 42%. And how effective are those fly balls? There's more. Is there more opposite field fly balls that are really bad for power, or central fly balls that are really bad for power? And he's has he toggled that slider too far in the hit home runs direction? Because this year, the 192 BABIP, that'll improve when he comes back, but he's not exactly a 300 hitter. He's not exactly a 400 on base guy. And like Max said, I think last year's the peak of his production. And before that, he was a good player, 3 or 4 wins on Baseball Reference. I think more close to 5 on Fangraphs, a 115 to 120 OPS plus. That's a good player. I don't know if that's, the best player in your team. And even Seattle, you have Julio Rodriguez. So I don't think he is the best player on the team.
I think, my one concern, I guess, here is that he's going to be 30 also this fall. But I think he's going to be a top 5 catcher, I think, for sure. To your point, probably right now, if I were picking a Mariner, it's probably Julio.
I wanted to stay away from Julio for this exercise, just because I felt like that was too easy of an answer to go with.
I agree.
But I do want to bring up one thing here, and I apologize if this may sound a little extra here, but how does the power numbers here and having the knock rate numbers on full offense here, how does that not apply to James Wood? And how does it apply to Cal Raleigh? And then also being a switch hitter now becomes a negative on his plate, or the players around him being a negative on his plate. Because again, right now we are building this is for basically round 1 of the fantasy draft idea here. Like, what player would you want to build around with? And with James Wood, yes, he's very good. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But I don't think James Wood is a better player than Cal Raleigh. And I don't think that's too
that's a perfectly fine thing. Perfectly fine take. Consider that Wood is 6 years younger, and there's a reasonable shot that Wood, if you're looking at this from a strictly like WAR perspective, there's a reasonable shot Wood outproduces Raleigh from a WAR perspective for the duration of their careers. If you want to look at it that way, maybe it's close with Cal being a catcher. And I think being a switch hitter or being a catcher is inherently valuable, but from the standpoint of what can go wrong, there's a lot of entry points for Cal to be in a slump. And there's like this year, what do you think is the main cause of the slump? And I think there's a lot of different answers. You played 160 games last year. You have the expectations of last season. You have the disappointment of last season, losing in the playoffs like you did. And it could be any number of things. And being a switch hitter, like growing up a Braves fan, and you get Chipper Jones pilled basically, but it's hard being a switch hitter, and you have 2 different swings for the most part. There's once in a while you have a player that has the same swing from both sides, but if you're struggling from one side of the plate, that has to have some level of impact on the rest of your game. If you're like, man, we got a lefty on the mound, my righty swing is not good right now. It's like Ozzie Albies. If you have a run of only facing righties and he doesn't get his righty swing off for a couple weeks, I'm sure that plays on him when he's hitting 230 as opposed to 330 when he's one of the greatest hitters of all time against lefties. But when he has to play a bunch of righties, maybe that, bums him out. Or I'm saying that Major League Baseball players are more mentally stable than most of us. But I think there is some element of, there's a lot of things that can kind of rock the boat a little bit. And I think there are some safer profiles. Like if you're Julio Rodriguez, you don't have to worry about hitting left-handed. You don't have to worry about, how Logan Gilbert is doing, how Brian Woo's doing. And that's a positive, but it also can play into slumps and can play into, underperformance a little bit. And of course, Cal's been dealing with injuries this year that has not exactly helped his play. I just have some pushback on him being like an obvious slam dunk yes. I think he's like a borderline yes. That's fine.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't agree with what you're saying, but I understand. Yeah, and like I understand very much exactly what you're saying here. And again, you make very valid points.
Like
on
you
that
look
as
at
well.
like previous catchers, there's a reason catchers often don't have great offensive production. There's a reason that Joe Mauers and the Buster Posies of the world, at least for what we've grown up with, like there's a reason they're the outlier. And there's a reason, like I'll use Sean Murphy as an example. He was the best player in the National League for a half of a season. And then, he wears down in the second half and he has like a 500 OPS. In the last years, he's dealt with some injury, but also consider he's working with pitchers. He's coming back off I was that good. I got paid to be that good. I had a 999 OPS for a half season. That's really hard to do. So you have all these like factors playing at him. And like when he was on the field this year, he wasn't very good. And he's back injured again. And last year he was not good down the stretch. And there's so much wear and tear that goes into being a catcher that so Johnny Bench is the greatest catcher of all time, right? Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. Would you necessarily take him over, Derek Jeter, or
Yes.
would you take him over Mike Trout? Would you take him over Ken Griffey?
I would take him over Jeter.
I easily take him over Jeter. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I would take him over Trout or Griffey. But this might be a good segue because my first player is Shea Langeliers, another AL West catcher who this year is, leading the American League in hits, batting .328. All of a sudden he went from being this, pure power, high strikeout guy in 2024 to becoming more of a complete hitter, completely slashing his strikeout rate. And this year, again, it's more of the same. Granted, his BABIP is way higher. And still, though, he's hitting the ball harder. He has a lot of red on his StatCast page. So Shea Langeliers it's a tough one because he doesn't have quite the defensive profile of some of the stronger catchers in the game, but he can out-hit most of them. So I think this is a tough one for me. I mean, I think as of right now, he's a 28-year-old catcher having a career year. Do I expect him to be a 330 hitter all year or for the rest of his career? No. Do I expect it? Is it reasonable to expect him to be in more like the 270, 280 range like he was last year? I think it's not too far-fetched. I mean, I think this is a great catcher. If he can work on his defense, he's one of the best in the game. So, again, though, it's tough building around a catcher. So I'll ask you guys what you guys think.
So I'll immediately say no, I would not build around him. If we're gonna have the same kind of like things on with Cal, on having like the age and the positional wear and tear here on this, then with Cal, then you've got to have with Langeliers as well. He's 28 here and will be 29 next year. And by the way, we'll have the exact same number of years played and age as Cal. But I really like what I see now from Langeliers. The problem is, where is it going to lead to? Because for the last few years, he has really picked it up here, right? A 2.9 WAR in 2024, 3.9 WAR in 2025, and this year's already at a 2.4. Like, insanely good, right? But if you're going to be a catcher and you're going to be this offensive powerhouse here, okay, cool. You've got to be able to lead by defense as well. And I'm not saying he's a bad defender. He's just not good. Not necessarily good. I think that there are better options for catcher here right now. I feel like he's up there as one of the ones you could be taking. But, like, say, again, in the draft idea of this, he's not being taken in my first round. Like, he is one of the catchers that you get later on after, you've already got your centerpiece here at another position for positional value.
Yeah, I think this is like the great value version of the Seattle question. Like Julio would be a slam dunk first round pick. I think any team in baseball would be happy to have him as their best player. And then Cal, I think, is more like somewhere between like 25 and 45 if we're just like straight re-racking the players. I think Langeliers is more in the second round conversation. You have the age, and he's not a particularly good defensive catcher. And for all of Cal's struggles at the plate, he has been terrific defensively this season. And that, year over year, I think that tracks. Well, with Langeliers, it's like up and down. It's a lot on the arm, and I don't know. I don't know if he's necessarily a long-term catcher, and especially at 28, I don't know how many years you're getting him in the crouch. I think the hitting profile is great. I think there's a lot of the growth that's great, and it's a little bit different from Cal's growth. That Cal, maxes out the pulled air, fly ball sort of thing. Like there's a bit more of a well-rounded hitter. Obviously, Cal peaked higher last season. That's perfectly fine, but maybe Langoliers has a higher floor because he's not going to hit 212. But yeah, I think the A's, the full-fledged, full-force A's, I think Langoliers is the second or third best player. I don't know if that's Jacob Wilson hitting for a little bit more power or being a better glove at shortstop. I don't know if that's Lawrence Butler. I don't know what happened to Lawrence Butler, but whatever it is, it's bad. I don't know if it's SodaStream returning to form. He was one of my players on my preliminary list. Nick Kurtz, I think, is a fine best player, if you want to call it that, but he plays first base. It's very different from Julio being an elite defensive center fielder, while Kurtz is like a perfectly adequate first baseman. I know he's a great, great hitter, and if we're just re-racking based on being a hitter, is he a top 5 pick? I don't know. He's pretty on the short list. He gets on base in like 87% of his career games. But if you're saying, yeah, Kurtz and Shea, I think, is a little bit of more like a late pick in the first round, and then like a second to third round player, while Julio and Cal would be like a obvious first round pick, and then like a borderline first to second guy, depending. And like I said, the catcher thing, like, yes, it's great to have a great catcher. How long are you going to have a great catcher for? There's a reason, the Benches and the Carters and the Berras, like those are major, major outliers having a productive catcher over, more than a decade plus. Like Buster Posey did not have the longest career. Joe Mauer did not have the longest career as a catcher.
Joe Mauer had to move to first base.
Yeah, he had to move to first base. And
yeah,
Yachty played for a long time, but he wasn't exactly, Josh Gibson as a hitter. He was, of course, an all-world defender. Salvador Perez is falling off a cliff right now, and he's been a bad defensive player for most of his career. And that's not just a framing thing. It's like Baseball Reference Board doesn't even like him that much. So that's my concern with Shea.
Yeah, catchers, I mean, that's at some point, inevitably, your knees are going to start to weaken, and you're not going to be able to be a catcher anymore. And Joe Mauer gave himself out. I mean, he literally was like, all right, I don't, want to continue having these knee and back problems. I don't want to keep getting concussions. And he moved over to first base. Who knows? At some point, we're going to have a guy, Langoliers. I don't know if we're ever going to see this with Cal, but like at some point, these guys are going to have to move off the position. We saw it early in careers with some guys. Kyle Schwarber was not a catcher for very long. Bryce Harper was drafted as a catcher. Not many people will remember that, but in JUCO, he was a catcher. He did not even catch a professional game, I'm pretty sure. Joey Votto was drafted as a catcher, if I'm not mistaken. So was Carlos Delgado. It's hard to stay at that position for a long time.
Right.
So even I'm the one who suggested Langoliers here. I don't think I would build my franchise around him. And why don't we move into our second round of this with Alex? Why don't you lead us off here?
Sounds good. So I'm bringing an interesting one here that when I say the name, you're probably going to be immediately yes, but I want to bring up a couple of extra points here. The name is Paul Skeens. So here's the thing. I think that right now, at this exact moment, Paul Skeens there's a very real chance he's the number 1 pitcher in baseball. Like, just ability-wise, with what he's got, he is the absolute best. But I think for the purposes of this exercise, it hurts to be a pitcher. Just outright it does. Because if you're a starting pitcher, you're only playing once every 5 days, right? If you're a reliever, you're only playing situationally, right? So for this thing, I still think I'm going to say yes. And that is only because he is as young as he is. He's only 24 right now. And he's already proven that he is the best, and you're going to have him for a while. But the thing to keep in mind as well is how important it is to have a bona fide ace of your rotation. One that every 5th day, that, all right, we've got a good chance to win here, boys. Like, that's one of the things that even in today's game, that we see a lot of here. Whenever, Tigers players will say here, right, if Scooble is on the mound today, we've got a good chance of winning. It's like, and you look forward to that day. Skeens right now is the best in the business at that. He is the best in the business at being at that level. So I'm going to say yes, I would, but it's close. Because like I said, I want to have a player that is going to play every day, ideally. But if I'm going with a starting pitcher, there's not a whole lot of better option than Skeens.
Yeah, I think Skeens might be basically the only pitcher I'm going to say yes to. Just because, he's got the combination of youth and track record. Already having a Cy Young. He was a Cy Young finalist in his rookie year, and he didn't even pitch a full season. He's a workhorse too. I've said this before, but I think of the old school workhorse guys who throw like 85, maybe not 90 miles per hour at most. And now we have guys like Skeens and Wheeler, and now we're sort of seeing it with Mizorowski this year, guys who throw straight heat, but they're able to maintain it for about 6 innings, sometimes more. So yeah, Skeens is a guy I'd say yes to. And it's important, obviously, you support him with guys who can do the rest of the baseball playing, not to inflict pain on you, Alex, but the Mariners did not do a great job with that with Felix Hernandez.
Well, I was talking, that immediately was coming to my head, and I'm like, don't bring up Felix, don't bring up Felix, don't bring up Felix.
Or, the Mets did not do a good job with Jacob deGrom doing that. And granted, deGrom was not a super highly touted prospect. He was supposed to be a reliever originally. He was basically brought up for a spot start and did well enough to the point where he stayed in the rotation. So, obviously you have to make sure you support him. But, I think he's the best pitcher in baseball. And it's just, you don't find a guy who's this good at this young of an age. So I would say yes to him, and I'm not really thinking twice about it.
Fellas, what if I told you Paul Skeens wouldn't be the first Pirate taken in this exercise?
Who, Connor Griffin?
Yeah, why not? 20 years old.
That's a tough one.
Safer than a pitcher, certainly.
I would agree if we have seen at least a little bit more of Connor Griffin in the major leagues. I want a player that I know is going to perform at the major league level.
I mean, Connor Griffin has gotten much better from his first week in the season.
Yeah, since he turned 20, he's been great.
Yeah, he's been very good, and I like Connor Griffin a lot. I don't know if I would take him over Skeens.
Here's the thing, though, right? Jeff Francoeur in the first month was really, really good, too, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, he was.
Okay. Whoa. That is harsh.
That was a catching stray, though. I'm sorry about that.
Wow.
That was extreme, yes, but Frenchie was the man.
Dude, I love Frenchie. I love him so much.
Okay.
Big Jeff Francoeur fan.
I think Skeens... I'm actually curious how many teams, if you just got Dave Dombrowski in a room, Alex Anthopoulos in a room, Ben Charrington, all 30 GMs or Pobos, whatever you want to call them for whatever team they are, and ask them, would you rather have Griffin? If you're got to poach one Pirate, would you rather poach Griffin or would you rather poach Skeens? I think the answer is a little bit more split than, Paul Skeens' Baseball Reference page would lead you to believe. I'm just curious there. I think Skeens is an obvious first round pick. I think the only question is, does he go top 10? And I think there's a reasonable argument he can go top 10. He's clearly the best, at least for the sake of this exercise. I think he's clearly the best pitcher. Even the Mizorowskis and the Schlittlers and the other young pitchers in baseball who have been exceptional this season, who have perhaps been better than Skeens this season, because Skeens is a couple. It always comes against the NL East teams for some reason. Why can't you have a blow-up outing against, I don't know, Saskatchewan? Why does it have to be the Mets and the Phillies, bro? Fight me, Paul
Saskatchewan
Skeens.
would be great.
Anyways, I think it's just a matter of how high he goes. I think he's a clear first-round pick. And Schlittler, I wonder how many times I can say that without screwing that up. Schlittler, Christopher Sanchez has been unbelievable. He's not quite as young as the other players here. Mizorowski, Chase Burns has been terrific this season, by the way. I think those guys are probably more second or third round picks. I think the Miz could sneak into the end of the first round potentially. But I'm curious. I think Connor Griffin over Paul Skeens is not like an outrageously bad take. He is the number one prospect in baseball. You do have the shortstop stuff. You do have his much improved defensive ability at shortstop. So it's not a case of, oh, he's a shortstop for now, but he'll move to third. No, he's going to play shortstop for quite a long time. It's like a Corey Seager profile, Cal Ripken and A-Rod profile. Like, I think that's the kind of player we're looking at. And you guys know I don't love to give flowers to some players. Luke Keeschel, I'm looking squarely at you, buddy. It's a lot of second basemen that I don't like. I kind of pushed back on Matt McLean. I pushed back on Zach Geloff. Welcome back, buddy. He's actually been pretty good for the Ace this season. I can't hate. Luke Keeschel. Connor Griffin, though, that man's good at baseball. And I like a well-rounded profile. It's not just like, he's a 712 OPS. It's above league average since he became 20 years old, but he's stolen 10 bags. He's been a good defensive player. I like those kind of things. And he's 20. He just turned 20. He's younger than Busch Stadium, as Busch Stadium happily pointed out.
That's insane
stat, by the way.
I mean, I see your point. I mean, there's also, Griffin is a shortstop. So and I'm gonna bring up my guy, and this is I'm a huge fan of Nolan McLean, but this is again as I was sending in my picks, the more I thought about it, Skeens is the only pitcher I'm going to say yes to, and I think Nolan McLean is great. I know he had a rough outing in his last start, but like, this is probably right now I would say he's the best. Stuff-wise, the best pitcher on the Mets. But at the same time, he does not have the track record of Paul Skeens. Or probably, I don't think Jacob Mizorowski. I don't think I would take him over Mizorowski. I don't know if I would take him over Chase Burns. I think I would take him over Burns. But like, there are a lot of young pitchers out there who are great. And McLean, while he might be a front of the line starter going forward, I just don't see him necessarily as a building block. That being said, if he wants to try being a shortstop too, again, like he was in college, sign me up. But that's just my honest take on Nolan McLean.
So don't the Mets have another Oklahoma State two-way player?
Or Carson Benj. Yeah.
Okay. One of them was known as the Cowboy Otani.
Yeah, that was McLean. Yeah.
I don't remember which one was which, because they both have.
McLean was Cowboy Otani. He played shortstop and pitched, and then Benj was an outfielder and pitched.
Okay. Like you said, I think Skeens is the only pitcher I'm like 100% taking in the first round here. But I think McLean's a perfectly adequate answer in the Schlittler, Mizorowski, Burns, that level of player that has enough of an MLB track record, so we're not just hoping and praying. Like if I said Yuri Perez has the the high end stuff in theory to be an answer to this question, but he has not proven to be healthy, is not proven to be good enough at the big league level for an extended period of time. He's still super young, but he's dealt with so many injuries and dealt with uneven play. We'll call it that. So I think McLean would be I think he's fine as the best pitcher. If we're just doing a pitcher draft, I think he's a top 30 pitcher moving forward. I think that's a pretty easy statement to make. I don't know about top 30 overall player though.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one here. I like it. When I read the text that said Nolan McLean for this, I'm like, well, this one's going to be easy. But no, I like him. Nolan McLean is a really, really good pitcher. Is he good enough to be in the first round of this? No. I don't think so. Again, when there are pitches around like Skeen and Scooble, I don't see him. This is gonna sound mean here, but like I don't think he eclipsed them at all. There's no eclipsing there. It's just going to be he's going to be down the line a little bit of this draft. He's going to be an early pick, but Nolan McLean is not someone that I feel like you could really build around here. Or is he not going to be someone that I would want to build around either?
Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot. He's great stuff, but again, he's not quite at that level yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like him. I think he is going to have a very good major league career. And hey, you know what? Within the next couple of years, maybe he is on that echelon. Here, maybe he is, but I'm not seeing it just yet. Here, Splash is scheming, and I am excited.
Okay, fellas. Where would you take Mason Miller?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I want you to know, by the way, that was on my list of these.
I assumed you meant Bryce Miller. My bad.
No! Why would I make Bryce Miller?
I have no idea. Because this wasn't like my list for those behind the scenes was CJ Abrams, Spencer Arrighetti, and I don't even remember who Tyler Soderstrom. Like I didn't choose like the top of the line, so I'm sorry. I apologize for shining.
I'll come up with someone on the fly.
I will. I can do someone different. Fellas, does Drake Baldwin go in the first round?
Oh,
that's a tough one.
It's another tough one. You know, he's a catcher who rakes. He absolutely rakes. He's young. He won Rookie of the Year.
He's younger than I am.
Yeah. Oh man. It's tough because I feel like if we're gonna reject Langoliers probably, and we're split on Cal, I don't know if I can necessarily say yes to Drake Baldwin. But I would have a much harder time, like not taking him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah,
I think it's a different conversation than Cal. I think I would take him over Langoliers. It's offensive first profile and like a well-rounded offensive first profile, not a Cal profile. And that's not a slight at Cal. They're just different kinds of players. I think what's working for Baldwin is being a lefty and the approach against other lefties. So you can't bring in your loogie and try to get Baldwin out. He's going to slop one the other way and go on first base. Like I think the stat the Braves broadcast showed was the best left on left hitters through 2 seasons. And he's in Yordan Alvarez, Ted Williams territory. I'll take that. He's not a particularly adept defensive catcher. I think that's the glaring flaw in his game. Can he be better? Sure, I think so. I don't know if the Braves are necessarily the cream of the crop here at developing defensive catchers. Look at what Milwaukee did with William Contreras. I think he's a really refined hitter over 2 seasons. 32 homers, 118 RBI, 95 runs. He was leading the majors in runs for a lot of the season. Now he's, of course, injured, which sucks. 13 homers. I like the different approaches that he has when it's men on base. He's not looking to, hit home runs. He's looking to, put the ball in play, drive runners in. You can really see the difference when Ronald was batting ahead of him versus when Drake was batting leadoff. Like Drake Baldwin leads the majors in first inning home runs, which is kind of crazy. And I think only one of them drove in Ronald. So I think he's a really good player. I think he's more borderline, and you could ask yourself, do I want more sample size? Sure. And if you get more sample size, then he's 26 years old, 27 years old, then he's maybe not a yes. But I think he's a borderline. I think he'd be a fair. If he was the first catcher off the board, I wouldn't be shocked. I think that would be probably would be Cal, Shea, or Drake would probably be the most reasonable top 3 right now. Adley's had a bounce back season. If you believe in that, he's also older. So I have my concerns there. He's already older than 28. That's about a 2.5 or about a 3-year gap with Baldwin, but at the same age as Langoliers, 1 year younger than Cal. So, fellas, Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, so this is probably going to shock you a little bit. I'm easily doing it. Like, again, I really like him. I really like Drake Baldwin here. Again, I don't want to say I'm biased towards catchers here. I just do really value them. I value what they bring to a team, and I'm going to bring up something else along the same kind of line here. Who was the catcher going into opening day? The main catcher going into opening day last year for the Braves. There was an injury, I know, but
Baldwin started opening day, but Murphy would have been the starter without
injury, right?
Yeah.
So now that Murphy was out of the picture for a little bit, he got the chance to shine. And when Murphy came back, Drake Baldwin still showed that, hey, by the way, I should be playing almost every day if you can. And if you can upset an actual major league veteran like Sean Murphy on this list here, as young as he is, there's a reason why he was able to do that. Looking at what he said, he's already got 5.5 WAR over 1.5 major league seasons. That's not bad at all, in fact. That's very, very good, I would say. Career 283 average so far, already has 13 homers on the season, and defensively, solid. Like, is he the best ever of all time? No, but I don't think you always need to be. You need to be good at what you do. I think Drake Baldwin is basically kind of he's the good compromise here between, say, like Cal Raleigh's like experience, all this, and another player's like youth, shall we say. He has the youth, he's there. He doesn't have all the experience yet, but he's on that same trajectory. He is on that path. When you have a career OPS plus over 1.5 seasons of checks notes 139, you're doing pretty good, I think. So honestly, yeah, I'm saying yes for Drake Baldwin.
Yeah, I'm game, and I think there's a reason that he was in the lineup even as a DH when Murphy came back, or against lefties, the Braves, like literally against his handedness, they would have him in the lineup DHing and put Jonah Hyman or Sandy Leone played a couple games, Sean Murphy. Like there's a reason he's in the lineup, and it's like one of the best lineups in baseball, at least run scoring wise, offensive production wise. And Drake Baldwin's hitting leadoff, or has hit either leadoff or second the entire season for the best run scoring team in baseball until the Nats passed him a couple days ago. Thanks, Mets, allowing all the runs to the Nationals.
My bad. But yeah, I mean, Drake Baldwin, look, this dude rakes. I'll just say that much. And I mean, I would heavily consider it.
Absolutely.
Shall we go to Mason Miller for you, Alex?
Yeah, let's just make this one quick, though, because I think I don't want to say we're all in the same boat right now, but there's the glaring bit in the room here, and that is a closer, right? He is the best in the game as a closer. Yeah, I'm not going to doubt that at all. But Splash does, but that's fine.
But I'm just saying, I'm just saying we have the modern Venters, Eric O'Flaherty, and Craig Kimbrell walking through the halls in Atlanta. Just saying, like Dylan Lee versus Mason Miller. I don't know. I'm kidding. By the way, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you're good.
Hey,
you're good.
Robert Suarez with Mason Miller on the team led the team in saves last year. I don't know. I'm kidding.
Are you sure you don't mean Jose Suarez? No.
Oh boy.
Look, I mean, Mason Miller it's just, we've never seen, I feel like, a reliever dominate the way he did the first, couple weeks of the season. He's still great, even with his slowdown, sort of. He's still striking out like well over half the batters he's faced. I mean, it's just, obviously it'd be goofy to do it with a reliever, but I mean, he's the best reliever in baseball right now, and I don't know if it's that close. I mean, really, I mean, Riley O'Brien had that hot start for the Cardinals, but he's also, his 4 blow-up outings have been pretty bad. Whereas Mason Miller's blow-up outings are like, oh, he allows a run or he allows a walk or something, only strikes out 1 batter. But yeah, he's great. All right, we're not going to try to take away from anything.
Why wouldn't Rico Garcia go first?
Well, Rico Garcia had like his first bad outing of the year today. But man, the Mets could have just hung on to that guy instead of Ryan Stanek, right? By the way, great question from Ralph here. Riley Green, it's a tough one, personally, but he's a great
he's
player.
Not first round for me, I'll say.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say first round, but I'd probably consider him second or third round. He's a power bat who drives in a lot of runs. Even though his numbers in leverage situations and stuff weren't great last year, but I mean, Riley Green's a good player. I think Tigers fans are almost a little too harsh on him.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he's the classic case of it would be better if he's the second banana, which is why McGonigal is so important, or why potentially Max Clark is so important. And I think he and like Glaber and Spencer Torkelson, they're all different levels of player, of course, but they would all benefit being one step down the totem pole, as opposed to being like the star. And I think even Javi Baez suffered through this because Detroit brought him in to be the like capital S star, and they paid him like such. And maybe it was better when he was the second fiddle to Chris Bryant, or the like second and a half fiddle with Bryant and Rizzo and that great pitching staff. And you had Contreras and you had Addison Russell before he went off the deep end. You had a really deep lineup in Chicago, and Baez could be, at times the best player and at times the most valuable because he played up the middle compared to Bryant. But I don't I don't think if you're like judging, like the best hitter of the group was obviously Bryant.
Right. One thing I would like to kind of say just with Miller here for 1 second, and this is kind of be my last point with him, is that yes, he is absolutely incredible, but I have a bit of an analogy for this. If you were to put him on, let's say, I don't know, the Chicago White Sox, or no, sorry, the Colorado Rockies, he does not make the team that much better. Like, don't get me wrong, he's good, but he's not going to increase the number of wins that you get that many times because, let's be honest here, Rockies fans, you're not going to be leading in the ninth inning too many times. Here, however,
you never know.
However, if you were to say put Mason Miller on a team like, let's say, the Yankees, right? His value would be a lot higher there because they're probably going to be leading in a lot more games because they're playing better games. Their talent overall round is higher here, so your usage will be higher in those high leverage situations, which is where he thrives here. But because of that here, it means that it makes it hard to want to take him early or to build a franchise around him if he's only going to be playing if you're already winning.
Yeah.
Have we considered if you were picking Mason Miller, might you stretch him out?
No.
Oh, I personally would be wary of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
You know, I would consider it, but I think we have to be just wary with his elbow. When the A's tried making him when the A's had him as a starter, he did have some concerns there with health. So sure. I mean, I would want him to be, and I think this is aggressive, but what Josh Hader was when he was on the Brewers before that awkward 2022 season, like Josh Hader could be relied upon so frequently to go, 2, sometimes even 3 innings. Mm-hmm. I think, look, maybe it's unrealistic to ask Miller to do that frequently, but it's not man, it's just tough. I feel like the closer to starter conversion, especially when you throw that hard, would be really difficult. So I probably wouldn't. And honestly, it sounds like he wants to stay as a closer because he's just been that much better as a reliever compared to a starter.
Sure.
Also,
right,
hi, Eddie.
What's good, Eddie? Fellas, where would Mr. Little League home run today, Dom Smith, go? I'm kidding.
Oh, I love Dom Smith.
First round pick, baby. Make him 1.1.
That dude,
move over Ohtani, move over Aaron Judge. Are they hitting 300 this season? I don't think so. Big Dom is. Let's go. Yeah, fellas, where would you take Sal Stewart?
Probably 3rd or 4th round. Unfortunately, Sal Stewart has slowed down tremendously, but I think he possesses offensive prowess.
I like the mindset that he has. He had an interview with Buster on Baseball Tonight, and it's like, this guy gets it. This guy understands, and I think he'll be a good big leaguer for a long time. And he first base, or he can kind of play all over the infield, but probably will be more of a bat first base type. I think there's a ceiling where he's going, unless you can become Joey Votto or Freddie Freeman, Paul Goldschmidt. Like, if you can get into that echelon, okay, sure thing. But even, like, I don't know, would there be a first baseman you take in the first round? Kurtz, maybe Guerrero?
I think Kurtz would be the one, if anything.
Okay.
I love first baseman. I am a first baseman. I would not take one in the first round.
Yeah. Where would you take Vladdy? Second round then?
Yeah,
probably second round. Yeah, I think Kurtz would be like late first round.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Sure. Ben Rice? Anyone?
Oh, Ben Rice would be a tough one. Yeah.
That's a home run bingo champion, Ben Rice.
Yeah. By the way, if you guys don't follow us on Twitter, please do. At LAR_baseball. Splash has been keeping track of home run bingo. And we have our first winner, first guy who would yell bingo. Ben Rice has home run every inning this year. Runs through 9, that is. Man, Ben Rice, I would need to see him do this for more than one season, but like, that dude's bat is legit. I don't know if it's like 1,000+ OPS legit, but that dude mashes, dude. Mm-hmm. Anyway, shall we move on to everyone's favorite segment of every week?
It is trivia time.
It's time for trivia.
Let's cook.
And because I won last week, I am in charge today. So we're going to do, I'm not sure if we've done this segment before. I think we've done a version of it. It's, over, under. I'm going to give you 9 players and 9 stats, 9 benchmarks. You're going to tell me, are they over or under that benchmark? Does that make sense to you guys?
Sounds good to me. Let's cook.
So.
All right, great. It's sort of like a true or false thing. So
gotcha.
Sure.
So I have a shot, is what you're saying.
Yes, you have a shot, I would say. All right. Splash, pick a number between 1 and 30.
I'll go with 11.
All right. And Alex?
12.
All right. The correct answer was 25. So
dang, I should have gone with my normal number. I still win, but
yeah, you still win. So Alex, you can choose to go first or you can defer.
I'm going to defer to the second question.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Lay it on me.
All right. You're speaking of the devil. We were talking about him earlier. Splash, your first player is Cal Raleigh.
Dang it!
And did he have over or under 150 home runs in his career?
Oh, I just had his baseball reference page pulled up. I think he has exactly 160 right now. So over.
That's correct. He does have 160.
Okay.
Good memory.
So you're on the board here, and as luck would have it, Alex's first player is Freddie Freeman. Is he over or under 2,500 hits?
Ooh. I'm going to say he's over.
Oh, that is incorrect. He's getting close there. He's at 2,477 entering today.
That's such a big number.
That is such a big
I think
number.
we need to respect the 3,000 hit club more.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely.
Tony Gwynn wouldn't be a good play. Like, we have the Tony Gwynn stuff that I don't like getting involved in, but having 3,000 hits is like just the.
And if I'm going to pick one active player who I think can reach 3,000, it's probably Freeman. Altuve will have it. Health is starting to catch up to him.
Yeah,
too.
he's fallen off the pace a lot.
Yeah. Remember when people thought Starlin Castro would get there?
Oh, I was one of those people. Oh,
yeah, that was rough. All right, Splash, back to you. You have 1-0 lead. Okay. Johan Santana is your player.
Ooh.
Does he have over or under 2,000 strikeouts?
I want to say he's very close. This is like an Ian Kinsler with hits situation. I'm going to say he's slightly under.
You are correct. He's 1,988. He got close.
Wow.
Unfortunately, those darn injuries caught up to him late in his career.
Consider if they had just ruled, is it Carlos Beltran that hit the ball? If they had just ruled his career would have been okay.
Yeah, who knows? All worth it for the no. Not really, kind of.
That was a lot of fun, though. Even as a Mets hater, that was a lot of fun watching that.
It was crazy. Unfortunately, I was stuck at dinner at a restaurant that was moving kind of slow, and I only got to track it on game day. But luckily, my brother got home before us because he had something to take care of, and he DVR'd the last inning for us. So that was fun.
Did you see the Matt Cain perfect game live? Because I was at camp that week, so I missed it, and I'm like, I wonder if anyone threw a no-hitter, and my dad's like, yeah, you missed a perfect game there, buddy.
Yeah, that game started at 10 p.m. Eastern, and I had school the next day, so no, I was not awake for it.
I did not see it because I didn't have much of opportunity to watch baseball outside of Seattle.
Fair enough.
All right, back to you, Alex. Splash has a 2-0 lead. Your player is Kenley Jansen. Does he have over or under 450 career saves?
Over.
That is correct. He's the active leader with 483.
I'll tell you what my mindset was. I was trying to remember back to his milestones card in MLB The Show. What was the milestone for?
Yeah. Future Hall of Famer Kenley Jansen. Also came up as a catcher.
Absolutely.
Future Hall of Famer, for sure.
And former catcher, yeah.
Yeah, former catcher. Also a switch hitter.
Yes.
Fun fact.
Did you guys see that Carlos Cortez pitched the other night?
Wait, what?
Yeah, Carlos Cortez pitched.
I must have missed that.
Yeah. He did not pull a Pat Venditti, although I think in the game day app, because he's known as a switch thrower,
yeah,
it had to say Carlos Cortez is pitching lefty every single time, but he pitched lefty the whole time, even against righties. So it just kept saying he was pitching
Yeah.
lefty, he was pitching lefty, he was pitching lefty. Okay.
All right. Back to Splash. Your player is Gary Sheffield.
Ooh.
Your benchmark 500 homers. Over or under?
Oh yeah, he hit his 500th home run with the Metropolitans.
Yep, I was at that game. For my first game at Citi Field, he had finished with 509 home runs.
Whew.
All right, Alex, back to you. And I think this could be easier for you. Your player is Ichiro, and your benchmark is 500 steals.
I don't think he reached 500. I'm gonna say lower.
Oh, you are incorrect. Just like Gary
5'11",
Sheffield,
right?
509.
That's right.
I think it almost gets lost on people that Ichiro was very fast.
Oh no, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Like
I just think to casual fans, people may not know this dude could beat out a routine grounder to short.
All the time.
I will always remember there was a quote that was used in the Sweet 116 documentary that Ichiro's entire strategy was that he would hit a triple every time because it would be a single, then steal second, then steal third.
Yeah, I like that. I like that attitude. We need more players like that, I think.
True.
Chandler Simpson, baby.
Chandler
Welcome back.
Simpson.
Exactly. Yeah,
dude.
Chandler Simpson.
All right.
Remind me to look it up afterwards. But does Ichiro have the most steals after 27? I would guess it's Ricky. Like just like Sniff Test says it's Ricky. But I wouldn't be shocked if there's not too many players with 500 steals after turning 27.
Right.
Yeah. All right, back to you, Splash. And I had to throw one rate stat in there.
Oh boy.
Your player is Nolan Ryan. Does he have over or under a 3.00 ERA for his career?
I believe it's 3.24. So over, like higher than a 3.00 ERA.
Well, 324 is his wins total, but you are correct. It is over. 3.19 is his ERA for his career.
The fact you were that close, man. Come
That's
on.
still impressive. I
Okay.
mean, he pitched for 27 seasons.
Yeah.
All-time
No
leader
Cy
in
Youngs.
Yeah, which is crazy to me. All-time leader in strikeouts and walks.
Arguably one of the best top 3 pitchers of all time.
He literally pitched until his arm couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Doing that until you were 46, when you throw that hard, it's kind of ridiculous. Because you think of the guys who pitched until their mid-late 40s, and it's mostly like either just generic soft tossers or knuckleballers.
Jamie Moyer,
Jamie Moyer, baby.
Jamie Moyer, who got Tommy John at age 47 and decided to come back and pitch one more year.
I love that man. I love him to death.
Yeah. Back to you, Alex.
Okay.
I know Splash has basically got it iced, but your
no,
player
it's iced.
is Mike Trout. Does he have more or less than 90 Baseball Reference WAR?
Wait, okay, I'm sorry. More or less than 90 Baseball Reference WAR?
Yeah,
Okay.
so WAR on Baseball Reference.
Oh, gotcha. For some reason, I thought you were referring to like OPS plus. I don't know why, and I'm like, he's not below average.
No.
I'm gonna say he's over because at this place, why not? It's
he's
It's
getting
obviously
there,
low.
but he's at 89.6.
Wow, he's that close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
Dang.
honestly, I wasn't
He'll
sure.
probably
'cause
have
he's been
that
kind of in
by
a
the end of
slump
the
lately.
by the All-Star break. He should have that.
Easy.
Yeah, he should. He's already surpassed his WAR total from last year. If he gets back in a little groove, which I know he hasn't been lately, but I mean, look, I understand he can't hit 5 homers in 4 games every week, but he's still Mike Trout, guys.
He's Mike Trout. Yeah.
All right, I do have one more player. If you guys maybe both want to guess on it, why not?
Sure. Why not? Yeah.
Sure.
All right, the player is Chris Davis, and I'm talking about Chris with the C. Did he hit more or less than 300 home runs?
Less.
I agree with Alex. I think.
Yeah, correct.
260?
295.
Okay.
Had he not had the precipitous fall off, he probably clears 300 by a lot.
Easy. Yeah.
Woof.
I mean, if he was even remotely as good as he was when he got that contract, like we're looking at a generational player.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Orange Crush had ridiculous power. It's a shame what happened to him. But he's in the Hall of Pretty Good now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
By the
shout
way,
out
Hall
to
of Pretty
you
Good
guys.
got mentioned on MLB.com.
Yeah, dude. Shout
I'm
out,
like,
shout
that's
out to
sick.
Bryce, man. He
Seriously.
it sounds like it started out just like as a fun project, and now he's getting mentioned everywhere. He's a national phenomenon now.
Yeah.
Also,
hey, if you ever want to come on the podcast,
Yeah,
Bryce, I do have the channel subscription on Instagram, so let's do a
we
collab
take
at
guests.
some point, maybe.
let's make it happen.
Was our last guest Jack for the World Series?
Yes.
I think that's right.
I think so, yeah.
Because Arian came on, I think last season, preseason?
It was last season, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. After that was, I think, after Soto signed.
What are you talking about? Didn't we also have Shadur Sanders come on the show as well?
Oh, yeah, of course. Shadur Sanders,
right.
yeah.
Jack wasn't there for that, though.
Yeah, right. No,
I cannot believe the Ravens lost the Steelers week 18.
I mean, neither can I still.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, that does it for trivia. That was I had a great time, at least.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was so that means Splash, you get to do trivia next week.
I'm tempted to do Bid McPhee 3.0, but I'm also tempted to do something different, so I will let you know.
All right. Well, it's time for the moment to ourselves. The way we end every show, 60 seconds or so, to talk about whatever you want. And Splash is really adamant about this, so he will go first. Let me just count you down real quick. Your time begins in 3, 2, 1, go.
I watched none of the Cavs game yesterday. I didn't even know they had the lead. And I wake up to go into work and I see notification, Knicks come back from down 22 to beat the Cavs. It's like, can we just get this over with, please? Like, I'm tired of the Cavs playing like this. I wish nothing but the worst upon the Knicks. I hope they get swept in the finals. Congratulations. You get the cheapest finals run in NBA history. Like, this is the kind of East that MJ fans think on walked through every. You play this bozo. You play the Atlanta Hawks, who suck. You play the 76ers, who suck, instead of the Celtics, because the Celtics, for some reason, think, you know what would be good to beat a team we're a lot better than? We're just going to shoot a bunch of threes and introduce variance. You morons. And then they play this bozo Cavs team that has 4 star players, none of whom are good at both sides of the ball. You just attack James Harden for like 2 straight hours. Like, just screw off. Enjoy Wemby dropping 50 on your head or Shea dropping 50 on your head. Good riddance.
Yeah, let me read you a message I got from my friend on Instagram. My friend Ryan, he says, because he is a Cavs fan, and he messaged me, thank God I chose to sleep instead. I'd have a broken TV and never would have slept. Being straight up, I was watching with my parents on, in our living room, and my dad was falling asleep when it was a 22-point game. Alex, do you want to go next? Or
sure, let's do this.
All right. Your time begins in 3, 2, 1, go.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about JP Crawford. I love this man. I love this man to death. A lot of talk has gone on about whether or not this is going to be his last year in a Mariner uniform. And to that I say, please, no. You need this man. I understand that he's an aging shortstop that may have lost a step. I understand that his bat is not always what it needs to be. This man, though, is a leader. You do not have very many leaders in Major League Baseball that can do what he does. Does that mean that it's always going to translate to numbers on the page? No, it's not always going to. But what he does for the Seattle Mariners and for his teammates is incredible. There were some people that were trying to say that he was a selfish player here. One, no, you bozos. But 2, the news today about him taking reps at third base, here, a lot of people started to think, they're trying to move him here to make more room for Emerson. No, he's the one that offered it. He's the one that brought it up. What kind of a selfish teammate would offer to move positions as the veteran for the young guy? No, this man is a treasure. I don't know how many years he has left as a full starting compatible player, but if you have him and he now also would have third base viability, he's gonna do a lot more for you than Leo Rivas is. Sorry, Leo Rivas catching an unintentional stray there, but I think what you have here is a player that is a leader that you need to have for the morale of this team. Straight up here, like, I have never seen a player that has wanted to be a leader more than JP Crawford. When Kyle Seager left, when he was the most tenured Mariner, JP was the one who on national television went and said, I want to follow in those footsteps. I want to be the leader of this team. And guess what he did? Exactly that. And he has been an incredible leader since then. I want him to stay as a Mariner for the rest of his life, like the rest of his playing days. It's going to be a little bit hard here, especially if he isn't going to be playing every day, but I feel like you can make it work. This is a player that you cannot lose. Straight up. Like, I don't care if the Baseball Reference page is going to say that he's a OPS plus of 70. I do not care if he's going to be the guy that has a batting average at 210. What I care about is that he is working with these young guys. He is working with the rest of his team, and he is leading them. I would rather have an average team with a JP Crawford there leading than I would 26 guys that are way above average talent-wise that are aimless and don't have any leadership. Because the ones that are aimless, while they have the talent, may not know how to use it and won't know how to grow with it. JP Crawford knows how to build the absolute best out of everyone around him. JP, you are the leader. You are the captain of this team. We had an MVP candidate. He is not the captain of this team. It is you. You deserve it more because of what you are able to do. He is the personification of being a leader is not a boss. Being a leader is a supporter. JP is absolutely perfect at that. If this is the last year of JP Crawford, you better bet that I'm going to be taking full advantage of that as often as I can here to basically sing his praises. But I hope through any god of gods that he stays as a Seattle Mariner.
And he's one of those blue guys.
JP Crawford has been like a really good hitter for.
He has been. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Like, yes, it's an on-base centered profile. Like, he's not going to break any home run records or anything, but like, draws a ton of walks. 350 on base over 4 seasons playing shortstop. That's pretty good.
I'd take that. I'd sign up for that. I mean,
he's very good.
I know that he's not like a Gold Glove caliber shortstop anymore, but like, you know, he still gets the job done. And to your point, Alex, glue guys matter. I've seen it with my own eyes. I mean, the Mets held on to Starling Marte even while his numbers were declining for a reason. They held on to JD Martinez while he was slumping in 2024 to be a mentor. So I think, you know, it's good to have a guy around like that. I know it's kind of weird. He's on the older side of that roster, even though he's, you know, barely over 30, but he's been a leader for that clubhouse. We've seen him grow from, you know, being just, you know, a guy that got in a trade who was sort of a young and up and coming shortstop to being the spiritual leader of that roster.
Again, if you go back in history, right, that trade, the straight up Gene Segura for JP Crawford trade, you do that trade 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Can JP teach his nephew how to play defense?
Oh,
what's the relation?
They're cousins. They're cousins.
Okay, because I know on Baseball Reference it's cousin of Carl Crawford, so I don't know the relation to Justin. But can we, like, for this season only, can we fix Justin Crawford's defense so he wins National League Rookie of the Year? Then in October he gets attacked by the Monstars and hits like 200 the rest of his life.
Well, he also would have to learn how to hit the ball in the air while he's at it.
Okay, we talked about that in March. Okay, that's not a prerequisite to being good.
I guess he is fast, so he can get away with that.
Is a 60% ground ball rate good? Maybe not, but you know, hey, he does have. Oh, he has 0.1 WAR. Why do you have -6 DRS, pal?
Okay. All right, Mac, you ready to go?
Yes.
All right, your time begins in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Yeah, I need to take a second to acknowledge what Will Wade has done to LSU basketball. This is absurd. I am all about college athletes getting to benefit, get some money for what they're doing because they are largely, entertainment. But what Will Wade has done is next level. How has he brought in multiple guys who are former pros? I mean, RJ Lewis was literally drafted this year. I mean, seriously, he played for multiple colleges already. He declared for the NBA draft, played in the G League for both the Celtics and the Jazz. And then he has another player who he got drafted in the second round in 2020. This is a full. Okay, I'm fine with going with the transfer portal, but you are literally getting guys who played professionally and are going back to play college sports. Last I checked, that is not allowed. Once you turn pro, you are a pro. You are not going back to college. So I think this has gotten out of hand. And I think this needs to be regulated. I mean, technically, he has 5 guys who are ineligible to play who are currently his starting 5. So something has to happen. I remember when a swimmer, it was Reagan Smith, tried, she turned pro. She tried re-enrolling at University of Texas to follow her coach, Bob Bowman, and the NCAA said no. Now we have all these guys who are playing professionally, either in the G League or overseas, and somehow they're being let back in, or they're allowed to sign with colleges, which, by the way, is a wild statement, because you are still a college athlete. You are a student athlete, supposedly, who are getting paid millions and millions of dollars. So, yeah, I think it's just a wild sequence we've entered. People are going back to college to make money because they're going to make more money being a college athlete than they are being a low-level pro athlete. So, yeah, this is crazy.
Man, the new NCAA game is going to be wild here when you have players that go to pro, and then you say, "Oh, by the way, actually, we can re-sign you."
Yes, psych, I'm back.
So do you guys remember the old Madden games here during franchise where you would sometimes have legends that would come out of retirement here and you could re-sign them?
Oh yeah, they had that in NBA 2K also. I remember signing Grant Hill.
This feels like it's the same thing here just for college.
It is, yeah, basically. There's actually, I think there's an option for that in MLB The Show 2 in franchise mode. You can enable franchise legend free agents or something.
Oh my god.
I think we've missed the plot. I think college football, college basketball, I think we have missed the plot. I think we have. And listen, I was all for when J.R. Smith did not go to college coming out of high school. After his NBA career, he went to North Carolina A&T, got his degree, played on the golf team.
Yep, exactly.
That fine. That I'm cool with.
I'm all for it.
I'm cool with, older players, whether it's BYU because I know they have the Missions, or military, or the Hayden Hurst who played minor league baseball and then went to South Carolina to be a tight end. I'm cool with those things. Or the Monte Harrison, right?
Yeah,
I'm cool with that. But being a professional in the G League and going back to playing the NBA, I'm not cool with that. Or going back to playing college, I'm just I think we're missing the point. Listen, I get NIL is great. And I think it's fair. They are student athletes.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think it's when I was in college, I could make money off my name, image, and likeness. I could have a YouTube channel. I made money off a YouTube channel. I made money off a podcast that I could advertise myself on. That's good. I think it's perfectly fine for players to do that. Michael Pittman, when he came on our show back in the day, he had a YouTube channel. He couldn't monetize it because he was an active player at USC, but he had a YouTube channel. And this was Destroying got kicked off the UCF football team for this, right?
Right, yeah.
Something like that. So I can do that. Or I can do the brand deals. If I want to have a Harris Teeter sponsorship, absolutely. That makes sense. It's something local. Or I like how there's I think a Texas barbecue place or steakhouse or something that pays the offensive line. Perfect.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't like the oh, I have more eligibility. I feel like if you entered the draft, your
Unless you
eligibility, at least in that
withdraw,
sport, should be
like,
exhausted.
Yeah, and like, obviously I am not nearly good enough to be an athlete that gets that much money, but I technically have 2 years of eligibility left because of COVID year, and then I graduated early. So like, I could re-enroll, or like I remember talking about this. My second oldest brother got injured his sophomore year in Indiana, so he would have had 3 years of eligibility. He was redshirting that year, by the way, too. So he would have had like 3 years of eligibility, and obviously he was way past the 10 years because he enrolled at IU in 2008. But like, it's one of those things where like we could have like technically had him enroll and activated him as a diver for us. Like, no, that's not going to happen. But anyways, that does it for us today. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube if you're watching there. Leave us a comment, smash that like button. Maybe you disagree with everything we said today. Good. Tell us that. Follow us on Spotify and leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to this podcast. Follow us on Twitter at LAR_baseball. Follow us individually. Alex at the Sports Guy 242. Splash at Mr. Splashman 19, and myself at Mathias_A_K. By the way, club crackers, great snack. Very buttery and flaky, big fan. But anyway, tell us your favorite snack too while you're at it in the comment section. But anyway, for all of us at Losses Above Replacement, thank you all for listening. Stay safe, and I hope to see you all real soon. Thank you.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!